At 5:42 a.m., the undersea picture inside the Strait of Hormuz is already breaking apart. USO Kane's AN SKS 53C picks up a slow contact on bearing 031, range 4,800 yards, so close to the seabed it almost looks like clutter. Senior Chief Elena Morrow in O'Kane's sonar control watches a sonar contact that appears, disappears, and returns every 11 seconds along the same shallow ridgeline. She notes it the way she notes everything, with a grease pencil mark on the clear board, 1/ for every repeat. Out of habit. She has no idea yet what that sonar contact that appears, disappears, and returns every 11 seconds along the same shallow ridgeline is going to mean in the next 11 minutes. To understand why that matters, you need to understand what is moving under them. A Ghadir-class midget submarine is not built to win a fleet battle. It is built to make one ship die in ugly water. It is small, shallow draft, hard to classify, and designed for a place exactly like this. Under 30 meters long, 2 533mm torpedo tubes. Enough room for mines. Enough room for one crew to wait in darkness and let a larger navy make the first mistake. In blue water, it is a nuisance. In the Strait of Hormuz, it becomes geometry, pressure, and patience. The strait narrows ships into lanes and compresses decisions. Tankers cross it heavy and slow. Escorts guard them at speed. Every propeller, every merchant hull, every wake, every ridge on the bottom adds noise. Mines do not need to be everywhere. They only need to be where a captain wants to turn. Swarm boats do not need to sink a carrier. They only need to pull eyes and weapons outward while something quieter comes in beneath the noise. That is how asymmetric war works in confined water. Not by overpowering American naval strength, by forcing it to waste seconds. Inside the Ghadir, the air is wet and metallic. The compartment is narrow enough to punish every breath. The commander does not need a long order. The doctrine has already done the talking. Local authority, local kill chain. If larger units die, smaller ones keep hunting. If the surface picture collapses, the underwater picture survives. Tonight, the mission is simple. Push straight at the carrier screen. Use the ridge. Use the tanker lane. Fire once. Slip back into the bottom clutter before the Americans can close the box. Elena Morrow has seen this shape of danger weeks before anyone else believes in it. She is not on the bridge, not in front of cameras, not in a flag plot. She is a senior chief in sonar control, the kind of sailor who lives in headphones, narrowband traces, and the half-second hesitation between a real return and a false one. 4 weeks earlier, she builds a private library of shallow water contacts from drills, merchant interference, and ridgeline reflections. She writes a one-page note in clear language. In dirty water, a seabed hugging contact may vanish on the bottom and return on a fixed rhythm. She titles it exactly the way enlisted sailors title papers when they know no one important wants them to be right. Theoretical, shallow water overclassification. The paper moves up, it comes back stamped the way these things always come back. Logged and filed. She keeps watching anyway, not because anyone asks her to, because clean screens and dirty water bother her, because randomness has a smell, and this does not smell random, because once during a night drill, one false target comes back at a regular interval near a ridge exit, and she never forgets how deliberate it feels. The pattern is not random. It never is. At 5:46 a.m., sound arrives before certainty, a low scrape under the headphones, a return blooming, thinning, then sliding sideways across the passive display, bearing 031. Range 4,800 yards, slow speed, too slow for transit, too steady for debris, possible midget sub. No one on circuit answers immediately, because everyone in the strike group is already doing the math. US Abraham Lincoln begins a slight turn to tighten the screen. US Mobile Bay shifts her geometry. US Stockdale angles to guard the outer lane. An MH-60R lifts into the dawn. rotors chopping at the pale light over the tanker route. High above, a P-8A stretches the search box wider, searching for a wake, a thermal seam, a mistake. At 5:47 a.m., the contact shifts to bearing 0034, range 4,200 yards. Same ridge, same depth, standby. That is all the tactical action officer gives her. 2 words. Standard dismissal. Not rude, worse than rude, automatic. Time to impact, 4 minutes. Range, just over 2 nautical miles to firing geometry. 4. Nobody in sonar control moves except for hands. At 5:48 a.m., the contact vanishes, not fades, vanishes. 1 frame of data, and then nothing but bottom clutter and merchant wash. The tactical display redraws. The blank spot on the screen is almost more dangerous than a hard track. Inside the Gadir, the commander trims down and slides tighter to the ridge. The boat is not wandering. It is using the floor itself as cover, letting rock and mud do what steel alone cannot. At 5:49 a.m., the return comes back. 11 seconds later, it comes back again. "Elena?" She answers without raising her voice. "It's hurting us." Silence on the net for half a second. Then, say again, "It's not approaching blind. It's shaping turn options." That gets attention, because now the problem is no longer one submarine. It is the water itself. The safest evasive lane for Lincoln runs toward a patch of shallows nobody fully trusts. Mine water. Maybe empty, maybe not. In this strait, uncertainty is a weapon. The first response is textbook, and textbook fails first. The helicopter drops a Sino buoy pattern ahead of the last track. Too wide, too polite. The contact slips straight through the seam between 2 buoys and hides again under the ridge clutter. Time to impact. 3 minutes. 3. The second response is harder. Lincoln increases her turn to open distance from the last known bearing. That protects against a straight shot, but it drifts the formation toward the very water everyone has been trying not to name. Suspicious bottom. Possible mine corridor. Mobile Bay's crew sees it at the same time O'Kane does. The screen is solving one danger and leaning toward another. Recommend no further starboard. Reason, possible mined water. No one likes that answer because it steals maneuver room. No one challenges it because the tactical display doesn't lie. Time to impact. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Inside the Gadir, the crew feels the carrier turn through the water above them. The commander knows the Americans are doing exactly what confined water teaches large ships to do. Move, but not too much. Protect the center. Protect the capital ship. Keep the lane. That hesitation is the opening. The torpedo room is already alive. Outer door checks. Gyro set. Tube pressure equalizing. A single shot is all this boat needs. The third response fails worst of all. The MH-60R gets a hard transient west of the ridge and commits. Dip sonar goes down. Acoustic energy bloom. For 10 seconds, the plot looks clean and convincing. Too clean. A false localization. Bottom bounce. The helicopter is listening to the wrong hole in the water while the real submarine slides east and settles for the shot. At 5:51 a.m., Elena hears the preparation pattern before anyone else names it. A brief mechanical signature. Not loud, just enough. Metal, pause, flow shift, then silence. Torpedo door cycle. No one repeats her. She leans into the circuit. Contact is sinking to seabed cover. 11 seconds exactly. The plotting team wants a clean track. The TOW wants certainty. The room wants something visible. Elena has only rhythm. Time to impact. 2 minutes. 2. Every conventional answer is now late. The first buoy field is wrong. The course change is dangerous. The helicopter is listening to a ghost. The Combat Information Center on Lincoln goes quiet, in the way steel rooms go quiet, when everyone understands the next sound may be damage, except for the sound of the tactical display updating. But the fight wasn't over, because the safest place to turn is now suspected mine water, and the only sailor who sees a way through both threats is the one whose warning is sitting in a file drawer. The Tau comes back on circuit at last. Tell me what you need. Elena does not hesitate, because she has already built this answer in her head weeks earlier, slash by slash, on nights when nobody is listening. You do not chase the last disappearance. You predict the next reappearance. You do not search where the contact was. You put steel and sensors where the rhythm says it must return. Shift dip sonar west, 63 meters, helo copies, compress buoy spacing, ridge exit, execute, hold Lincoln's turn. 7 seconds, that last one matters most. If the carrier keeps swinging, it walks into the mine question and gives the torpedo a cleaner lead angle. Hold too long, and the torpedo geometry improves. Hold just enough and the firing solution goes stale. At 5:52 a.m., the helicopter moves. Sonobuoys tighten. O'Kane and Stockdale close the acoustic gate on the ridge exit instead of widening it. The whole screen stops hunting ghosts and begins waiting for the beat. 11 seconds. Nothing. 11 more. The contact flashes exactly where Elena says it will. Track regained. This time no one says stand by. Inside the Gadir, the commander realizes 1 second too late that the Americans have stopped reacting and started predicting. The shot has already been committed. Water surges through the tube. The fish leaves hard, motor lighting in cold darkness, turning toward the last valid solution on the carrier. At 5:53 a.m., the call goes out. Impact in 20 seconds. 20. The torpedo runs hot. 15. Lincoln holds 7 more seconds. 10. Then the carrier answers with a disciplined rudder shift so slight it looks like nothing from above and means everything below. 5. The torpedo crosses the quarter, its lead angle broken, and misses the hull by 63 meters. The explosion sends a wall of water across the starboard quarter. The ship shudders. Spray hammers steel. Nothing touches the hull. There is no cheer. Not yet, because survival is not victory. Not in this water. The second the near miss confirms the firing line, the American kill chain closes from defense to execution. The launcher has been tracked since the first rhythm mark on Elena's board. Not by one perfect plot, but by accumulated truth. Passive returns. Ridge exit timing. Acoustic shadow. The boat has nowhere left to hide, because now the Americans know which part of the bottom belongs to the bottom and which part belongs to a submarine pretending to be it. The MH-60R rolls into attack position, MK-54 away. The first lightweight torpedo enters the water and forces the Gadir deeper into the one corridor still open to it. That is exactly where Stockdale's sensors are waiting. The submarine tries to run for the ridge. Too late. The box is shut. The first detonation does not kill it, but it breaks discipline inside the hull. Machinery spikes. Speed changes. Silence is gone. A second prosecution follows before the commander can recover trim. At 5:55 a.m., the second M54 detonates beneath the fleeing contact. A plume of churned silt, shattered air, and torn metal rises through the shallow water. The Gadir ceases to exist at 5:55 a.m. By 6:14 a.m., the same water looks different without looking different at all. Dawn is higher. The tanker lane is still there. The ridge is still there. The Strait keeps its face even after it nearly kills you. Inside the strike group, the debrief is as cold as the fight. 1 Gadir-class submarine destroyed. 1 torpedo evaded. 1 mine corridor avoided. 0 U.S. ships hit. 0 U.S. fatalities. Abraham Lincoln remains operational. Flight operations resume. Elena Morrow stands in sonar control with the clear board still in front of her. 11 slashes, 1 for every return. She takes the old paper out of her binder and changes 1 line. She does not rewrite it. She does not decorate it. She changes only the status at the top. Theoretical becomes validated combat pattern. That is the lesson this water keeps teaching. Iran does not need deep ocean supremacy to threaten a carrier. It needs clutter, narrow lanes, mines in the right rumor, small boats above, a small killer below, mosaic pressure, local initiative, a shot timed to the second. That is how a weaker navy tries to make a stronger one bleed. It fails here for one reason, because one enlisted sailor does not trust a clean screen in dirty water. Because she sees rhythm where others want certainty. Because she keeps marking a pattern after the report is logged and filed. Because when the room finally asks what she needs, she already knows. And the lesson Iran takes home from the Strait of Hormuz that morning is the one it least wants to learn. That the most dangerous thing about American naval power is not the carrier that survives. It is the senior chief in sonar control who watches a sonar contact that appears, disappears, and returns every 11 seconds along the same shallow ridgeline.